Store Thursday, April 10th. Tickets on sale now. Ashley McBride.
Go beyond thinking with RVFCU. Membership eligibility required.
All right, another day. I'm going to the stew. Hello, if you're new here, my name is Shelby Crystal. I'm a illustrator in San Antonio, Texas. Feels good to be back on YouTube. So, going to the studio today, gonna work on the big painting that I've been doing, and some other like digital computer work stuff I gotta do, designing a t-shirt. I gotta design some wine fact sheets. Yeah, so come with me. Thanks for being here. Okay, bye. Every time I go to the studio, I feel like I kind of like learn something, or just sort of reminded of things. Like, it's a pretty consistent thing that when I go to the studio, and I start a new piece, there's like so many parts of it that I'm like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. But you have to see it through, and you have to just like chip away and like remove things, add things. Like, art is not perfect, and like a lot of people don't talk about how hard the process actually is. They just kind of show you the end piece and then are like, yeah, it's perfect, it's great. A lot of it's not. A lot of it's like the pain of like, wow, this really sucks. And like half the time it feels like the canvas is trying to say like, prove to me you're a good artist, you know? Because a lot of the time, I know I'm a good artist, but when I go in to make a new piece, I'm like, this kind of sucks. This looks like a child's doing it. It looks like crap, you know? And like, social media doesn't really show you that process and that the turmoil that, and like the brain chemistry that goes on whenever you're working on a piece, and like the struggles to get lines right, or the struggles to like make enough value that certain things pop out at you or like pull away from you, or like how do you paint or draw something that looks foggy, you know? All these kind of things. Like a lot of the process is kind of hidden unless you're constantly around artists or watching artists that show that process or whatever. But I think it's important for more artists to talk about this kind of stuff, which is why on this channel, like, I don't shy away from, like, talking about my emotions and, like, the struggles of making art, because, like, it's not easy to be creative every day, and my job is to be creative every day, and, like, sometimes that is so draining. It is so draining to, like, come up with new ideas and, like, feel fresh and do stuff, but I think diversifying creativity kind of helps with that. It helps me, like, keep things snappy, keep things new, and, like, play around with stuff, and, like, that's why sketchbooks, I think, are so important. I have so many sketchbooks that I've had my whole life, and, like, I've been carrying a sketchbook around since I was a little kid, and, like, I think the biggest part of making good art is, like, play. And, like, going into the studio and knowing that, like, you just want to play, and, like, opening your sketchbook and just want to play. Like, sometimes that's, like, where the biggest breakthroughs come. It's just, like, either in your sketchbook where you're just like, what if I just messed around and did this, even if it's ugly? I'll, like, learn something from it and use that in a piece later. Or, like, in the studio today, like, I was working on my piece and I was like, you know, like, it's not working out how I want it to, it's not what I envisioned, but, like, I just was like, fuck it, what if I added this? And I tried it, and I was like, oh, actually, yeah, looks pretty sick. Like, all day long I spent maybe 3 hours on this painting, and then doing all these lines, doing all these little things that I like to do. Like, pretty normal process, but whenever I'm in this part of the process of, like, things don't have outlines around them yet, and I'm just building up the layers of, like, color and stuff, I'm always just kind of like, man, this looks bad, but it's because the final piece isn't there, and that's the only reason why. But I have to be able to see it through. I have to, like, finish it and keep playing and messing around with stuff. And then, like, I added in this neon pink layer, and it totally, like, changed the whole thing. And after that, I was like, okay, I'm done in the studio today. Like, I worked until I found something that really worked, and then I give it a few days, a day or a few hours, and then come back to it later with fresher eyes, and then I say, oh yeah, that was a really cool thing. Now I have another idea for how to make it even better. You know, art is hard. Art is hard, but play is a lot more fun. I think people need to stop taking themselves so seriously as artists and, like, being like, I'm the best artist ever. You know, I'm so good at art. Which, like, cool, maybe you are. Maybe you are a really good artist. Maybe you are good at art. But, like, I think people taking themselves so seriously is what leads to bad art. Like, that was my biggest issue in art school, was just, like, people were so serious about art, and then because they were so serious about their craft, they only, like, did one thing. They never played around and, like, tried other things, and then they became stagnant, and then a lot of those people don't even, like, make that much art anymore. And I think it's just when you start to feel so serious about it and start to be like, oh, this is genius, I'm such a great artist, I'm the perfect artist, whatever. It's just like you get so trapped in that mindset, and then you don't allow yourself to play, and you don't allow yourself to try new things, because you're just like, this is the one thing that makes me such a great artist. You know, like, I made a lot of bad art, and I'll say that. But I think that's part of what makes me a good artist, and what makes a lot of artists good artists, is because, like, the ones that play around and, like, mess around with things and, like, try new things and, like, diversify not just their creative outlets, but, like, their hobbies, and, like, you know, like, diversify their brain and, like, try meditation or try exercise, like weightlifting, or, like, I don't know, like, what really helped me was, like, going on bike rides and, like, and meditation, and, you know, I think diversifying a lot of your life helps make good art. Anyway, okay, that's what happened in the studio today. Hopefully you got something out of that. I don't know. Peace.